Hi, this is Dan Silvestri.
And Tom Pizzato.
From SpyMovieNavigator.com. As today on our show, Cracking the Code of Spy Movies, we focus on, well, drinking. James Bond 007 drank a lot, and we intend to do the same. And he drank a large variety of drinks, not just vodka martinis. We're going to have a drink with Ian Fleming today, too, selecting a couple of cocktails from the pages of Ian Fleming's novels about the most famous fictional spy in history, Bond, James Bond. All right, we're not going to cover every drink that Bond ever sipped in the novels and movies, but we will look heavily.
That's probably good, Dan.
Yeah, this would be a long podcast. We're going to look heavily into the novels because this is where Bond first lived and breathed through Fleming's works. After all, in the novels, we're safe because there's no question. This is Bond. This is where it came from. And Tom, remember we went to the Lilly Library at Indiana University?
Absolutely.
And what did we do there? Indiana.
We read the manuscripts of where Fleming wrote this stuff. Where
the original manuscripts.
The original manuscripts.
Yeah.
Where he actually wrote down this recipe for the Vesper that I'm making right now.
Yeah. So before we get to our shakers, we want to, not shakers and movers, but literally,
all right,
tea shakers. We want to give a shout out to Michael Pawlowski, who helped us a bit with the drinks here. Thanks, Michael. Here's to you. Cheers. All right. Also, in our North by Northwest podcast, the two-parter that we just did recently, one of our listeners responded to us that his wife, as a girl, was an extra in the movie. So we contacted her, and she told us about her role and how she started, and that she is one of the little girls who walk in front of Roger Thornhill as he exits the bathroom at Union Station in Chicago.
You gotta love that.
And her mother was in the same scene, just behind her, holding two other girls' little hands. Cynthia told us that she had been selected as Little Miss Pageant in 1956 in Chicago. That's a Kiwanis Club promotion that they had every year then. And one of the prizes was a scholarship to modeling school in Chicago. So here's a clip from Cynthia telling us all about her starring role.
I was a child model at the time the movie was being filmed. They did a 3-day segment at the Union train station in Chicago. I was selected as an extra, and my mom and I were both in the film. Just snippets. The most notable was walking by Cary Grant as he exited the restroom. It was a wonderful experience, and I met many of the stars and doubles, who were especially nice. When I met Mr. Hitchcock and asked for his autograph, he bent down and asked me my name. I said, Cynthia, to which he questioned, Cynthia? I politely corrected him and responded, no, sir, Cynthia. Years later, I moved to New York as an executive in the radio business. I went to the Oak Room as often as I could to entertain clients, but sadly, I never did see Roger Thornhill again.
That was great. Thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah, that really was. Cynthia, thank you. It's really cool to hear real-world people that have actually been involved in these things in whatever role. And the fact that she was willing to share with us, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. She sent us pictures, too, with an arrow with her walking right in front of Roger Thornhill. And at one point she said, Hitchcock told us, do not look at the camera. And she sent us a picture of her looking right at the camera when she was walking. They had to redo it. But anyway, she also said that when they were filming the Mount Rushmore scenes, that they had huge papier-mâché sculptures of the president's faces on the studio floor. And they crawled all over them, and it was filmed. And then she said the film was rotated to appear like it was vertical. So, again, hey, Cynthia O'Connor, thanks for the comments. We appreciate it, and it adds greatly to our Cracking the Code of North by Northwest. All right, we're going to get to one of the most famous drinks ever in spy movie history.
Dry martini.
Oui, monsieur.
Wait. 3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, half a measure of quinoa lily. Shake it over rice, and then add a thin slice of lemon peel.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'll have one of those.
So will I. Certainly.
And you know what? So will I, Tom.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And actually, I just actually hear the shaker. I just finished pouring myself this one. I made it while we were.
All right, I got my shaker. I'm going to pour mine out now. Oh, that looks good. That looks good.
It smells good.
All right. Now,
All right, we're having the Vesper, and this is obviously one of the big ones, as you said.
all right. There's. I got my cocktail in my hand.
I do too, and I'm
All
gonna
right,
actually taste
Tom
this
can't clink glasses together yet here because we're still, because of the COVID-19, recording remotely. But here we go.
Can we bump our glass to the mic and have that be a virtual clink?
Yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right.
All right. So the Vesper here, it's only mentioned twice in Bond films. It's in Casino Royale.
Yep.
Which is the book that it appeared in,
So.
and in Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
When he's on the flight with Mathis,
Mathis.
and Mathis walks up to the bartender and he says, "What are you drinking?" And the bartender tells him the recipe for the Vesper, which we'll get to in a second, but they never mention it by name.
Right.
In Quantum of Solace. They said he names it in Casino Royale.
Yeah.
He's drinking it in Quantum, but he's not
And
calling it that.
I now know why he didn't mention Vesper in Quantum of Solace, because he still, in Quantum of Solace, believed Vesper had betrayed him. And so he's not going to be calling this drink a Vesper anymore. He likes the combination of stuff that we're going to go over in a minute, but he wasn't going to call it a Vesper in Quantum of Solace because of that. So I just thought of that, and I think that's true. That's exactly why he didn't. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to first talk about what's in this thing. So it's 3 parts gin.
Yep.
In the novel, Bond calls for Gordon's gin.
Yeah.
And then 1 part of vodka. And he says in the novel, grain vodka is better than potato vodka, but he never calls out which brand.
No. And you know what? It is true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1/2 part of Quina Lillet.
Okay. So we've got 3 parts gin, dry gin, of course. 1 part vodka, grain vodka preferably, and 1/2 part Quina Lillet in the book and in the movies. Now.
Okay, wait. Before we go on, I'm going to sip this because I just.
I'll sip mine while you're sipping yours. And if you're out there with us, put this on pause and go make one. Here we go.
That's a damn
That's
fine
pretty
drink.
damn good.
Now, the thing that's interesting to me is he calls for Quina Lillet, but you can't get that anymore.
No.
You can get something called Lillet Blanc, which is a French white wine kind of close to Quina Lillet.
Yeah.
You want this instead of vermouth, and don't forget, you want to add a long lemon peel to this.
Right, that's part of the recipe.
Now, one of the things I was reading there's a great book called The Complete Guide of the Drinks of James Bond. Mm-hmm. And when he talks about the Vesper Martini, he's talking about it and the fact that you can't get the Quina anymore. He talks about some alternatives you might use because actually the Quina was more, I think it was bitter than what the current Lillet Blanc is. Mm-hmm. So it has a slightly different thing. So there's some things in the book. If you get that book, he talks about different alternatives you might try.
And who wrote the book and what's the name again?
Okay, the book is called The Complete Guide to the Drinks of James Bond by David Lay.
Okay, good.
And so it's actually a book that breaks down every drink by every movie, and
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually very, very good.
Yeah, my daughter gave me one for Christmas called "Shaken: Drinking with James Bond and Ian Fleming."
Just started.
Yeah, that's the official cocktail book. Now, this doesn't go over the cocktails in the movies. It goes over cocktails that would have been inspired by things that happened in the movies. But it's very clever, and there are a couple in here from the movies. But excellent. Shaken: Drinking with James Bond and Ian Fleming. As we continue to podcast and drink, here we go. Tom and I, we drank these Vesper martinis in many different places.
We've had a few
in the world. We drank them, for instance, at the bar in the Palacio Hotel in Estoril, Portugal.
Yeah, that was a great bar.
Yeah,
and they really made a good martini.
Now, this hotel is the one that appears in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where Tracy goes and where Bond follows her after the chase on the road and the beach scene and all that. These were superb drinks. And this bar in World War II was really a headquarters for spies. And even Ian Fleming drank in this bar. And I think he met Duskov Popoff there.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And
at least
so
that's the rumor.
in the casino, which was right next door to this was the inspiration, because there were different things going on in the casino. Germans were betting down there, and there was bets going on that we got to go get the money from the Germans so that they won't be able to fund stuff or whatever. Let's go get their money in the casino. So all of this betting and stuff like that in the book is really partially dependent upon Ian Fleming's real experience here at this hotel where we were drinking these Vespers.
And it's a great little bar.
Yeah. And then we drank them in Sardinia, Italy. Remember that?
I'm sorry?
In Sardinia, we had them there.
Oh, yeah, we had them in Sardinia. Yeah.
Right. The little resort we were staying at there, the bartender didn't know what a Vesper was. It was kind of a private bar just for the guests. And so we taught him. And he made some pretty damn good ones.
He learned quickly.
Yeah, those were good. And then what was the place in Amsterdam we went to?
We went to the Vesper Bar.
Oh, yeah, it was actually called the Vesper Bar.
Where they actually mixed a Vesper and were selling them, I don't remember, bottled or canned or something like that you could buy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. As I recall, they were different. Maybe that was it. There was a different twist to it. They didn't have the exact recipe. They had their own little twist on it. So it was good in that sense, but it wasn't like...
That's one of the problems with all these things. You go into these places, even when we had the one in Duke's, it was an orange peel instead of a lemon peel.
Yeah. Now, right. Tom's mentioning Duke's. Duke's is the bar at Duke's Hotel in London where we had Vesper martinis, and it was really rumored that that's where Ian Fleming hung out and invented the Vesper martini. Although
I thought he got it from Ivar.
Ivar Bryce was his friend, but I mean, they may have talked about it or whatever. But there was issues. Maybe it was in Jamaica that he invented it, and that's where Ivar and he hung out a lot together. Or maybe it was in this bar. But maybe this is where they mixed them officially for the first time or whatever with that Italian bartender. Anyway, Tom and I were there drinking.
Everybody wants to say they claim they did everything.
Yeah, right. Hey, Tom and I were drinking there, where, of course, Ian Fleming definitely was at certain times at this bar. And the bartender invited us to come behind the bar and shake martinis with him. So we were shaking Vespers at Duke's Bar. And actually, while we were talking to Caroline Monroe, who was Naomi in The Spy Who Loved Me. So that was fun. And she is fabulous.
That was a great experience all around. So.
Yeah. So
the book that I was reading was The Complete Guide to the Drinks of James Bond by David Lay. And he's the guy who also runs the JamesBondDossier.com, which is a good website he's been running for 18 years or something like that.
Cool. All right. So we're drinking the Vesper, and it's pretty damn good. It's an excellent drink. Some people don't like the Vespers. I think it's an interesting combination of stuff. Some people just think it's crazy, but mixing gin and vodka and everything else, and the Lillet with the twist of the lemon twist. I think it's delicious, and especially today.
Yeah, we have to also remember how tastes have changed. Vodka was something that really didn't hit the U.S. and Europe until World War II.
Yeah,
it pretty much stayed something that was consumed in Russia, in Poland, and the Balkan states, and it really didn't hit until after World War II. So when somebody would order a martini in the past, they would order a gin martini.
Yeah, it was a gin martini.
Then people started making them with vodka or adding vodka to them, trying to twist them a little. Because I mean, if you go to England now, at least what I've found, gin is still an extremely popular drink. Where in the U.S. it's more vodka than gin for pretty much everything.
Yeah, and of course Fleming is writing this stuff in the early 50s after World War II, and so vodka is becoming a little more popular and so on. Anyway, it's really interesting because Bond drinks all kinds of drinks in the books. This is really where Bond comes from, Ian Fleming's books. And so we're talking here, okay, the Vesper is the biggest one everyone knows. And really, he doesn't ever order another Vesper martini in any other book or any other movie, right, Tom?
That's as far as I'm aware. The only two that I've seen him call for it is, and actually in Quantum, like we said, he doesn't even call for it by name.
Right. So weird. But of course, Bond...
Now, I will tell you, if you order one of these when you're at a bar, you may get a look from your bartender because they may not have the Lillet. And this isn't a throw some rum and Coke into a glass and serve it, or pour a little bit of. I mean, there's more work for the bartender.
Yeah,
so just be aware of that when you order these
a
things.
lot of bars are not going to have Lillet. They'll give you dry vermouth instead. And as the bartender on the plane in Quantum of Solace, while Mathis and Bond are drinking these drinks, and he gives the recipe, he says Quina Lillet, which is not vermouth.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
There aren't a lot of bars that have Lillet. Maybe the high-end bars. There is one in Chicago here that makes a fabulous Vesper Martini, and they do have Lillet Blanc. So, excellent. It's called Stefani's. Great place.
If you're in a busy bar and you want to drink like Bond, but they're really busy, you might move to a vodka martini instead of the Vesper, because he orders a lot of vodka martinis in the books. They're quicker to make, and they're more likely to have the ingredients. So just if you're trying to help your bartender out, but you still want to drink like Bond, maybe the next thing you move to is a vodka martini.
Yeah, and he drinks a lot of those. Like, I'll just give a couple examples. Dr. No, and I'll quote, I'm going to give you a few quotes here because it kind of is insightful into how Bond was thinking here.
And this is, when you say Dr. No, you're talking about the book.
The book. I'm going to talk about, these are all from the book.
Okay.
The novels by Fleming.
All right.
I would like a medium vodka dry martini with a slice of lemon peel. Shaken and not stirred, please. I would prefer Russian or Polish vodka. I mean, okay, that's cool. In For Russia with Love, in the novel, he orders a double vodka martini. In Goldfinger, Bond says, vodka martini, please, with a slice of lemon peel. Thunderball, while in the Bahamas, Leiter checks in, and they went up to his room and sent for 2 double dry martinis on the rocks.
Now, hang on a second, though.
Yeah.
Those probably would have been gin, because they didn't specify. And back then, if you ordered a martini, you would have gotten a gin martini.
That could be true. And I could not verify that in the book Thunderball, except when I searched for gin, it didn't show up very much. So it could be gin, but I think maybe they were vodka. In On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he sat down and ordered a double medium dry martini on the rocks. That was a vodka martini with lemon peel. Nice. Moonraker even. Bond orders a martini made with vodka, large slice of lemon peel. So he specifies there. Live and let die.
And remember, you didn't have to worry about him going into space after drinking one of these, because in the book, it wasn't the same as the movie.
Yeah. I love the Moonraker book. That's a fabulous book.
It is really a good book.
It's one of my favorite Fleming Bond novels, really, the Moonraker. You got to read that one. In Live and Let Die.
I've got to slow down.
Yeah.
He's too fast.
Yeah, my Vesper is 3/4 gone already. Yikes. Yeah. All right. In Live and Let Die, Solitaire, this is cute. She mixes them both vodka martinis, saying, I hope I've made it right. 6-1 sounds terribly strong. I've never had vodka martinis before. Okay. All right.
Well, and it's kind of interesting if you look at martinis, though, especially, really either gin or vodka.
Yeah.
How they've gotten drier. Because it used to be that it was the original martini was equal part. And then it got less and less of the vermouth. Yeah. And then it was kind of like some bartenders would actually wet their finger with the vermouth and just line the rim of the glass with it and call that a martini.
Yeah.
So
very
so
dry.
They got, obviously by the time they got to Live and Let Die, they were making them very dry.
Yeah. And even in Diamonds Are Forever, which it's a great novel. It's actually a fun novel, and even more fun than the movie, I think. But the movie is pretty good. Bond sat at the long bar of the Tiara and sipped a vodka martini and examined the great gambling room with a professional eye. And in other parts of the book...
Well, wait, I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
What you just said there is why I love reading the books, as well as... So if you're one of those people, one of our fans who just watches the movies, I mean, we are Spy Movie Navigator, right? Cracking the code of spy movies. But sometimes reading these books, just the way he described that, you can't get that out of a camera lens.
Yeah, and that reminds me, when we're looking at the manuscripts at the Lilly Library, we examined 11 of the original ones. You could see where Fleming scratched out certain things and put in other words, and these are the words that made it into the final versions of the book, and how thoughtful he was about what he was saying there. His descriptions, I think, are fabulous.
Well, just think about how you would see this in a film. Is he's sipping the vodka martini, and examine the great gambling room with a professional eye.
Yeah.
In the movie, he would just be sipping the martini, looking around.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you get this out of the book, it just adds a depth to it, which is really nice.
Yeah. It does. I mean, professional eye means a lot of stuff. In those couple of words, professional eye, you know a lot about Bond. So he drinks a lot of gin martinis too in the books, not just vodka. So, but we're going to stick with vodka. He does vodka and tonic too. Now,
does.
We don't pay attention to this one much, but Bond drinks it up in a few of the novels. So I have a sample here that I will drink now.
I don't have any tonic here at home with the.
I got tonic left over from a Christmas party, so I'm going to just have a sip now, and then.
Okay. Well,
then I'm going back to my Vesper.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, right? So in Her Majesty's Secret Service, the book.
Yeah.
He drinks a vodka and tonic with bitters.
Yeah.
Which, going back to the conversation about Quina Lillet, kind of makes sense. Because if you're shifting, you're just doing vodka, you're not doing the gin. But if he liked that undertone of the bitters that the Quina would give it, that kind of makes sense that he'd carry that over into the vodka and tonic.
I would like to try that. I haven't tried it. I don't have Augustino or whatever it's called. Bitters. What's it called? Angostura.
There's a few different.
I know
that are on the market.
Like a big one or
Angostura, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have another drink. All right. Yeah, and he drinks.
Yeah, Angostura bitters.
Okay. Yeah, and I went with the dash of bitters. I think it's an interesting little twist here, and he does that in Thunderball too in the book.
Yep,
he has a vodka and tonic with the dash of bitters, and where else does he drink that? I think from
with the bitters.
Yeah, or no, it just the whole vodka and tonic thing.
Oh yeah, the vodka and tonic. He also, I think, in From Russia with Love, he does. But remember, we talked about the potato versus the grain vodka. And that one, he says, the local vodka is all right if you drown it with tonic water.
Okay. All right. That just shows you the kind of subtle palate that Bond has, right? He's like, the local vodka's good. That's great. That's a good one.
Yeah. And I think there's one more reference that I can think of in the books, which was in Goldfinger.
Uh-huh.
He has a vodka and tonic with a slice of lemon peel. He likes his lemon peels.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great with the lemon peel. I think it's terrific. And then there are
for me, I don't have the lemon peel here at home, so I'm drinking the Bombay Sapphire gin instead of the Gordon's, which there is a slight lemon undertone to the Bombay Sapphire, which is one of the things I like about it instead of the Gordon's. But I don't have the lemon here with me.
I ordered lemons from Mariano's the other day, and it was delivered yesterday.
That's a grocery chain in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a grocery chain in Chicago, and they're delivering stuff now during this whole COVID-19 thing. And I wanted them for this drink for the podcast. And so, hey, it's a damn good drink. I have to say, I mix a good Vesper.
Okay, anyway, well, we're back.
Anyway,
we're just talking.
Let's finish up vodka.
Yeah. Okay. So you can have it in a martini. You can have it in a Vesper. You can have it with tonic, and you can, of course, just have it straight.
Yeah, like you were saying before.
When I go to the theater, I normally have that because it's less liquid, but still.
Yeah, like you were saying before, they got drier and drier. In a couple of cases, he orders. I think in Casino Royale, the book, he orders a small carafe of vodka, very cold.
I love that.
I love that. Very cold.
It's the very cold, because his whole concept of why does he want something shaken instead of stirred is that it's going to get colder and a little bit watered down with the shaking versus the stirring.
Yeah.
But he likes it cold.
Yeah, and then in Moonraker, this is one of my favorites, M tells Grimley, some vodka, please. And he turns to Bond and says, not the stuff you had in your cocktail. This is real pre-war Wolfschmidt from Riga. It's like, all right. Now, I don't know what happened to Wolfschmidt, but I mean, maybe at the time this was like fabulous vodka. But when I was in graduate school at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we would buy Wolfschmidt vodka because it was like $5 a quart. But Anyway,
Well,
I digress.
You also have to realize that as tastes have changed, some of the beverages that have been product placements in the movies have kind of lost their luster. And we're taking this from a U.S. perspective. I'm not sure internationally.
But you know what?
I mean, one of the things is, if you go to Europe, getting ice is kind of unusual.
Yeah.
Right? Most people drink their drinks uniced.
Yeah.
But if you think about Stolchnaya, which is a vodka that was prominently in a lot of Bond films.
It was huge, yeah.
And from product placement. And there are some people here in the U.S. who are like, oh, I won't drink that. I've got to drink a Belvedere, or I've got to drink a Chopin or something like that, where it's a very serviceable vodka. It does the job.
Yeah.
So when is a product thought of highly versus not? Sometimes just is where is society at that point in time, and also thinking about from the European influence that Fleming would have versus the U.S. tastes, which are different.
Yeah.
And we have to think about that when we talk about it. This is a little bit different. It's different for us here in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. And product placement has always been a big thing with Fleming. Actually, in the actual novels, he mentions brand names all the time, and whether it's watches or drinks or whatever. So to carry this over to the films, to the movies, of course, where it's obvious that they're going to get money for product placement is cool. So you see a lot of that kind of stuff.
In the books, I'm not sure back then if they were doing a lot of paid product placements. I think.
Oh, I don't think it was paid. But
him adding depth.
But Fleming because for Fleming, it added to the description. So that people that were familiar with Gordon's vodka or Gordon's gin or whatever, they had a better read on what they were looking at on the pages of Fleming's novels. They thought, oh wow, yeah, I could get that. That's good. All right, champagne he drinks everywhere. We're not going to even get into the champagne. Bollinger, Dom Perignon, whatever. He drinks champagne.
Okay, so product placement again.
Everywhere. Yeah. Well, especially in the movies for champagne.
Right, exactly. But there was a time where I pretty much would only drink Bollinger.
Yeah. Right.
And I wonder where I got that from. You give me a good Bollinger Recently Disgorged or Bollinger RD.
Yeah.
That's a good champagne.
Yeah. All right.
In fact, actually, last year I drank my last. I had a 1989 RD, and it still was good.
Yeah, I remember in Dr. No, I think Bond was going to smash a bottle of Dom Perignon 56, and then Dr. No tells him, that's a Dom Perignon 56, and he says, I prefer the 53 myself. It's like, I love that crap. That's good stuff.
Vintage does matter.
Anyway, we're talking about gin, and he does. He does drink gin martinis.
Wait. When are we talking about gin? We're moving on.
Well, we were talking about the vodka martinis and gin martinis.
Well, we were just talking about champagne.
I know we're just talking about champagne, but he does drink gin martinis, and we were talking about vodka martinis and gin sometimes, and the popularity of gin before, the end of World War II. So
I'm going to have more of this gin and vodka Lillet combination here.
I finished my Vesper.
I haven't yet.
No, you haven't finished mine. Have you finished yours?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
Anyway, gin martinis. In the books, in Live and Let Die, Felix ordered medium dry martinis with a slice of lemon peel. He stipulated House of Lords gin and Martini Rossi. Okay, this is a twist on the Bond martini. Though Felix orders it, and Bond thinks the American gin, in this particular case, is harsh. So it's particularly like the House of Lords gin. And in Quantum of Solace, Bond is drinking, and Felix asks what he's drinking. We mentioned this before, and he gives the recipe and blah, 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 blah. And it's a gin martini, basically, because 3 parts gin in a Vesper dominates the 1 part vodka. So,
well, yeah,
I think you can call the Vesper really a gin martini.
Yeah. Now the other thing too is you talked about the House of Lords gin here. It was a brand, Booth's Gin put it out, and it's been around for a long time, and like I don't know, 300 years or something like that, or close to it. In London, Fleming actually referred to this as an American gin.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
but it was made in London,
Mm-hmm.
So
House of Lords doesn't sound like an American gin.
No, but was it just something that was cheap and imported to the Americas, or was it?
Yeah.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand what he meant by that.
No, but they do call out that he thinks the American gin is harsh. It's that's good.
And even the concept of the martini. You talked about House of Lords gin and Martini Rossi. Why is it called a martini? Well, part of that is because there was a vermouth maker.
Yeah.
Martini and Rossi that made vermouth.
Dry and sweet.
And so that's kind of how the martini came about. But
one of the original ingredients.
It was the gin and the Martini and Rossi vermouth.
Right.
So it's kind of just interesting when you look at when we use these names that we all know, where'd they come from?
Yeah. So it's kind of fun because now you're looking at the books and you look at the movies. Obviously, he's drinking vodka martinis a lot, but in the books, he's drinking everything. And he
drinks a lot.
We're done with the vodka stuff and everything, and I'm done with my Vesper.
All right, let me finish mine up here.
It was a good tall glass too.
Yeah.
All right. He drinks.
Dan.
He drinks scotch and soda. He drinks whiskey and soda.
We're recording this at 1:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I may have to take a nap after this one.
All right. Might take a nap during this.
I've only had the one, so
right. So anyway, he drinks a lot of stuff, and he drinks scotch and soda. In the novels, Bond drinks a lot of scotch and soda. Actually, for example, in Live and Let Die, Felix and Bond are together at that nightclub, and they ordered scotch and soda, Haig and Haig pinch bottle. So that's okay. I don't have one here ready to go, and I don't have Haig and Haig pinch bottle. I've got some pretty good scotch here though, but I don't have that mixed up ready to go. So I'm not going to drink that right now.
So he mentions Haig here. And today, it's a good whiskey. I'm not saying anything bad about it. But if you look at the echelons of whiskey and where these things rank, Haig is fine. It's not the top tier, but it's still pretty good. But it is considered the oldest whiskey brand in the world.
Wow.
So,
the oldest whiskey brand in the world.
Yep. At least according to their website.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's drinking when he's going on ordering this whiskey and soda.
Wow. All right. Well, I mean, things have changed. Look at vodka itself. Vodka from, you see Wolfschmidt and you see Smirnoff and everything else, which were the high-end vodkas a long time ago. Now you see 6 times distilled vodkas that are tremendous, that would kick ass over those original vodkas and even some of the Russian vodkas, like Tito's, for instance, 6 times distilled. It's a fabulous vodka. So the technology has changed, too, that has made drinks better and better, which Tom and I are all for.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So anyway, he drinks whiskey and soda, too. And whiskey could mean lots of things, but he drinks whiskey and soda in the novels, like in Moonraker. Both M and Drax drink whiskey and sodas. And Bond orders a large whiskey and soda, please, he says, and waited while the bartender poured 2 measures of black and white and put the glass in front of him with a siphon of soda. So, again, he drinks lots of different things. All right, brandy and soda. I never had a brandy and soda. But in Thunderball, there's a nice...
I've never thought about putting soda in with brandy.
Me neither. I love brandy.
Give me a nice good snifter of brandy in the wintertime.
That's all you need. Brandy and soda, wow. Now, in Thunderball, the novel, of course, Bond, while talking to Miss Moneypenny before leaving for Shrublands, remember he had to go get rehabilitated, he muses that he needs a double brandy and soda.
It's always a double.
Yeah. Right. Okay, he's not drinking it, actually, here. They're talking about it. But the dialogue is classic Bond. Moneypenny says, "But James, do you really drink and smoke as much as that? It can't be good for you, you know." To which Bond replies, "It's just that I'd rather die of drink than of thirst." I love that. And as for cigarettes, it's only that I don't know what to do with my hands. And Moneypenny says, "About the hands, that's not what I've heard." Okay. All right. That's great. That's great Fleming writing. That's just great stuff.
It's that interplay between Bond and Moneypenny is just fabulous.
Yeah.
And to take this to include the drink and the cigarettes.
Yeah.
And if you think about, Fleming wrote a lot about drinking, and Bond smoked a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So in the Sean Connery Bonds, he smoked cigarettes, and then Roger moved that to cigars.
Right.
But in the books, and it's like, if you think about On Her Majesty's, one of the first things you see when you see Bond is him lighting a cigarette.
Yeah.
Right. He's in that car.
Well, Fleming wrote a lot of Bond's characteristics and personalities based really on himself, because Fleming did both of those things a lot.
Yep.
Right. So and
it comes through in the books.
Yeah. We talked about brandy and soda. Yeah, it's kind of weird. How about brandy and ginger ale? Okay, I'm not going there. I don't have one of those.
Actually, that actually sounds like something I might try.
All right, why don't you try that?
We have ginger ale here. I think I might have some brandy in the basement. So,
try that in the novel.
In the bar in the basement, I might go try that.
In the novel On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Bond has a double brandy and ginger ale and stood along from the handful of other privileged passengers. Whoa!
A double brandy.
A double brandy. He has a lot of double drinks.
Yeah.
And he drinks brandy straight up. In Casino Royale, Bond orders coffee and, of course, with a brandy straight up. Felix Leiter drinks this, too, in Casino Royale. And in Moonraker, the novel, M tells Bond, we'll have coffee and brandy on the card.
Well, that's a combination that makes more sense to me. And again,
coffee and brandy is great.
I haven't thought about doing it with the ginger ale. I'm going to have to try that. But the coffee and brandy is fine. But the ginger ale, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. I'll have to try it, too. And, of course, straight stuff. Straight scotch, straight bourbon, straight whiskey. I mean, Bond's sometimes in a hurry, and he needs a stiff one to throw back. So, there you go. In Casino Royale, for instance, in the book again, Bond was finishing his first straight whiskey on the rocks. Dr. No. In the dusk, she came across the lawn to where Bond was sitting, finishing his third glass of bourbon on the rocks. Ooh. Yeah. Thunderball. In his room, Bond first ordered a club sandwich and a double bourbon on the rocks.
There we go, double bourbon.
The man with the golden gun. Bond wandered over to the little bar on the waterfront and ordered a double Walker's Deluxe bourbon on the rocks and watched the pelicans diving for their dinner. Oh, yeah. In Live and Let Die.
Wait, Dan.
Yeah.
Do you remember you and I were sitting in St. Thomas?
Oh, yeah.
In the U.S. Virgin Islands in the Caribbean.
Diving for dinner.
And we were sitting on that one bar that was overlooking, and you could see St. Thomas from it. Mm-hmm. That bar's changed hands about 5 times since then.
Right, yeah. I think
we were watching the pelicans just come diving down into the water looking for the fish.
Yeah. So this is a great descriptive thing here.
We should have been doing that with the double Walkers.
Ooh, yeah. That would have been nice.
It was really good the way we did it.
Yeah.
But it would have been even better with double Walkers, I think.
Yeah. And continuing in Live and Let Die, he took a deep draught of his whiskey. In Goldfinger, Bond leaned against the jamb of the door. He took a long pull at his whiskey. And You Only Live Twice. Suntory whiskey is mentioned. In the movie, Bond drinks it in Tanaka's garden.
Okay, so Suntory whiskey has gotten very, very popular lately, at least here in the U.S. And so it's kind of interesting that you think about back at the time that this book was written, him drinking this. I don't know if it was exported back then. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But it's a very, very good whiskey maker. So props to him for coming up with that one at that time.
Yeah, cool. And Bond drinks other stuff too, like bourbon and water.
Yeah. So,
right?
we talked about the fact that the scotches and bourbons and stuff like that. Sometimes he puts some water in the bourbon.
Yeah,
right. So on Her Majesty's Secret Service, he's, if you actually look at the type manuscripts that we did,
yes,
he scratched out Harper's bourbon and changed it to Jack Daniel's bourbon.
Wow.
Right. So he poured himself a drink on the rocks and adds water.
Yes.
And that's coming from Tennessee. That's kind of nice to see the Jack Daniel's published there. And then even on Her Majesty's Secret Service, Bond poured himself a stiff bourbon and water with plenty of ice. He was meeting with Draco for the first time, and Draco pulled out a pinch bottle Haig and another of I.W. Harper's bourbon.
Yeah, cool.
So you've got Bond with the bourbon, you've got Draco with the bourbon, and the Scotch. It's kind of fun how he actually ties these things in here.
Yeah, and there was another one, right? It was.
Yeah, Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he walks over to the bar. He orders himself a bourbon and branch water. Now, branch water isn't something that we in the U.S. we drink a lot of, but he wants the bourbon and branch water.
Now, I looked up branch water because I thought, what the hell is branch water? And branch water, they say, is like if there's a stream or a river or whatever, it's the highest part of that stream or river that they're taking that water from because it's supposed to be the purest. So I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting.
I mean,
but he does call it out.
Just another way to charge more for water.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually, in the book, he says he orders this bourbon and branch water.
Yeah.
Bond guessed that in fact the water was from the tap behind the bar. The lighter said that real bourbon drinkers insist in having their whiskey in the traditional style, with water from high up in the branch of the local rivers where it's the purest.
There you go.
So just what you were saying there.
Yeah.
Leiter talks to him about here. And it's kind of interesting because the only time I know of that I've ever heard of ordering a whiskey and branch water or bourbon and branch water is in a Fleming novel, and specifically Diamonds Are Forever.
It sounds so damn haughty and good.
One of the things with Fleming is that there's a little highfalutenness to the way he describes some of his things. And this is one of those.
Yeah. All right. Bourbon and water. He drinks gin and tonic, and Dr. No, he drinks a gin and tonic. Here's a different one. Old fashioned. Now, old fashions are popular again now, and they were very popular a long time ago, but they're popular again now. So you don't see Bond drinking a lot of old fashioned. I mean, in the movies, I don't think he ever orders an old fashioned.
I'm not aware of one. While you're talking, I'm going to go ahead and look in David Lay's book here.
Yeah. But in Diamonds Are Forever, Bond took a shower and changed and walked down the road and had 2 bourbon old fashions and chicken dinner. In Thunderball, back in his hotel, Bond took a shower, swallowed a double bourbon old fashioned, and threw himself down on the bed. In Live and Let Die, on the train, Bond ordered old fashions and stipulated old granddad bourbon. So weird, but there you go. There's 3 instances in the books where he orders.
They're only in the books. They are not in the movies. And one of the things, keeping on our theme of what we've been talking about throughout, one of the key ingredients in an old fashioned is 3 dashes of Angostura bitters.
Ah, there you go.
So just keeping it real.
That's good. Mojitos, he doesn't drink any of those in the book. We see it, of course, in one movie, Die Another Day, where Jinx and Bond meet on the beach.
I think I've watched that movie twice. I missed that.
That's a good moment where he drinks the mojito there, but not in the books. Negroni. Now, this is something. In the short story Risico, published in 1960.
Is it Risico or Risico?
I don't know. It's Italian stuff and Italian ingredients, and the second syllable is mostly stressed in Italian, so I'm going to say Risico.
Okay.
Now, that was part of the For Your Eyes Only short story collection. Bond drinks a Negroni. This is equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari over ice with an orange twist. Okay. You hear this? I've got
that's one you actually, I think, need to acquire a taste for it.
I have.
The first one, I'm not sure when you taste a Negroni the first time, you're like, yeah, this is it. But after you've had a few of them.
I'm drinking one now.
It's a nice drink.
It is delicious. Now, you do have to, it is an odd combination of flavors. And it depends on how you stir it or shake it or whatever you do with it. A lot of times people stir it to imbue the flavors more as they mix and so on. But it's damn good, in my opinion. So, again, equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari over ice with an orange twist. And that's exactly what I have in this glass right here that I'm drinking now.
Yeah, no, he also... Oops.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
And by the way, in this story, Risico, Christatos and Enrico Colombo are the characters in this story, which, of course, we know they were extracted from this story and used in the movie For Your Eyes Only. So there you go. There's another little tidbit for you. That's a good drink. I'm drinking it as fast as I can so we can get on to Irish whiskey.
This is not a race.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, what's the difference between a Negroni and an Americano? Do you know?
Yeah. The Negroni is gin, vermouth, and Campari.
Cinzano specifically, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And don't forget the lemon peel.
The lemon, yeah. Or orange. You could have lemon or orange.
Yeah.
I like orange with it, actually. And what's the other one?
The Americano.
Oh, yeah. The Americano is Campari and vermouth.
Cinzano again.
With over ice, topped with soda.
That's right. Perrier soda water.
So I've got both of those here. I'm almost finished with the Negroni already. I got a little bit left. Oh, wait, hang on.
Good thing this isn't a race.
It's a damn good drink. At our local bar here, the Nil Tap, Tom and I go to, they didn't make a lot of Negronis, but they made them for us. And now it's like a drink they serve all the time because, well, we're in there all the time, and we like them.
I want to get back in there once this darn coronavirus.
I know. We're in touch with the owners all the time.
Well, what I love is when you order some of these drinks in some of these bars, know what's in them. That's why I call out what's in these drinks, because they likely have the ingredients, but some of these they may never have made before. So if you can help them, especially like a bar like the Nil Tap that we go to, it is crowded sometimes and not crowded others. And you just have to be kind and only order a drink they don't know how to make yet when they're not crowded.
Yeah. And Sue and Patty and Lynn will make it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice. So, all right, go on with Irish whiskey because I'm going to take a sip of my Americano while we're talking about that because we're going to come up to that one.
Oh, okay. I'll absolutely talk about that. And if you remember, we talked about the fact that you might have, was it brandy and coffee? What did we say before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about the fact that there was brandy and coffee. So coffee can be used for other things. And, if you're going to do brandy, why not an Irish whiskey? So, here what we call it's an Irish coffee here in the U.S. The only place I'm aware of him ordering one of those is in Diamonds Are Forever.
In the book. Yeah.
In the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, I've been to Ireland.
Yeah, I've been there too.
So the first time I went there in Dublin, I'm at the hotel the first night. We're a block from the Temple Bar region, and I said to the concierge, I want to learn about Irish whiskey because I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're going to put Irish whiskey in a coffee, let's figure out how they work.
Yeah.
And the concierge said, don't go to Temple Bar. He pointed me to this bar 2 blocks away. I was like the only person in there. And I went in there and I said, okay.
Sometimes that's good.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, help me understand Irish whiskey. So he poured me 9 little taster glasses.
Ooh, and we could do a podcast on that.
Yeah. Well, it was taster glass. I mean, these weren't full glasses. This is tastings for us to go through. And he taught me how Irish whiskey works. So the big brand that everybody knows is Jameson, and that's fine.
Yeah, right.
I'm actually partial to 2 others, and the one that the bar we talked about before in Chicago has is something called Redbreast that I think is really good.
Yeah, that is good.
And the other one that I really like is something called Green Spot, which is actually a little less expensive, but actually just for whatever reason really like that one as well. But if you're going to do Irish whiskeys and coffee, and you want to do an Irish coffee, how are you going to do that? What we call an Irish coffee. Take some time to learn the Irish whiskeys. They're very different.
Yeah.
And there's like really any of these categories, Scotch whiskeys or even the gins or whatever. There are very wide variations between them, and spend some time trying them out.
All right. So here's a drink I don't think we've ever seen Bond order in a movie. A Stinger. Really? A Stinger? Come on. Where?
What's a Stinger?
Where the heck is Bond ordering a Stinger? This isn't a Bond drink, is it? Well, yeah. He orders one in the novels. In Diamonds Are Forever, Tiffany orders a Stinger made with white crème de menthe, and Bond orders the same. Oh.
Well, it's white cream to mint and either brandy or cognac.
Yeah. But the cream de mint, I mean, come on, that's not Bondy.
And
Anyway.
if you want to make one of these yourself, it's 1.5 ounces of brandy and a half ounce of white cream de mint.
Okay. All right. So Bond has one in Diamonds Are Forever, the novel. In Thunderball, at the Nassau Casino, the governor's ADC has presented Bond and Leiter with membership cards, and after they have had a coffee and a stinger at the bar, they separated, went to the tables. Another stinger. Diamonds Are Forever and Thunderball. All right, so we're going to go on. We've covered a lot of different drinks that Bond drinks. Of course, he drinks sake in You Only Live Twice. And in You Only Live Twice, Bond laughed. All right, Tiger, but first, more sake, he says. And not in these ridiculous thimbles. I love that part. I've drunk 5 flasks of the stuff, and its effect is about the same as the one double martini. That's a nice line.
Now,
But,
I was in Vegas once, Las Vegas, and we went and did a sake flight thing where we went through, again, similar to what I did in Ireland, and tried a variety of different sakes and did a tasting that way. And if you're trying a liquor for the first time, do this if you can. Right? Sometimes you're at a place and somebody says, "Oh, let's do this," and they say this is what we're going to have. If that was your first time, after that, go back and try and see if you can go to a place that you can taste a variety of different of these. Because again, just like with all of these drinks, there are very big differences in sakes.
yeah.
And so if you want to learn these things, take the time to do it.
And it's fun in the meantime, right? So
Absolutely.
we're moving on.
All right, I'm gonna make another
Americanos.
Vesper while we're moving on.
All right, make another Vesper.
I got my
We've
little
got all
jigger
kinds
here.
of
I'm
stuff
gonna make
here.
my 3 parts gin, 1 part vodka,
I've got
and a
my
half part of Lillet.
Negroni ready to go. I mean, no, my Americano. The Negroni's gone. All right. In Casino Royale, when Bond and Mathis are sitting in that little outdoor cafe, Bond orders an Americano. An Americano is made by pouring 1 ounce of Campari, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth in an old-fashioned glass, filled with ice, and topping it with soda. Now, we talked about that a moment ago. And you can garnish it with either an orange slice or a lemon twist, whichever you like. And I have mine today with an orange slice. And Tom's mixing another Vesper. I'm sipping the Americano, which I happen to like. This is a great summer, warm weather drink. When you drink it with the soda floating on the top, and then the flavors of the Campari and the vermouth, the sweet vermouth, start seeping through the soda, it's delicious. So you got to try that. And then Calvados. Calvados is an apple brandy. I think it's also pear brandy too, right, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
And
actually from the Normandy region of France.
Yeah, and he drinks one on Her Majesty's Secret Service in the book again.
No, you do remember, of course, Dan.
We
When
had that.
when you and I went to Normandy in France.
Right.
We stayed in Bayeux.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the name of the little bar we were in, or restaurant bar.
Yeah. I remember this. I
And the
remember what it
bartender-
looks like. Yeah.
The bartender there suggested we try some. Again, it's when we go to these places, we commonly will ask for what's a local drink that you guys have here, and he was like Calvados. So he poured. That's good stuff.
Yeah. It was good. I remember we had a couple, as far as I know.
Yeah, and then they closed because they closed earlier than we like. But that's okay.
Yeah. It was good. That was fun. And then, of course, Goldfinger drinks a mint julep. And in From Russia with Love, he drinks.
Wait. You just say he drinks a mint julep, and then from Russia. Where does he drink the julep?
Yeah, he's at Oric Goldfinger's stud farm, right? When he's
In
sitting out
Kentucky.
there with Goldfinger, and they're drinking a mint julep, and he doesn't want it too tart or whatever.
Right, and he's in
And
Kentucky in the United States.
He's in Kentucky, in the United States, which is
And that drink, the mint julep, is the big drink that they drink
yes,
at the Kentucky Derby horse race, the really famous horse race.
yeah,
So he, taking that concept, and he's got Goldfinger in Kentucky because of Fort Knox. If you're going to be having him be related with horses, tying in the mint julep makes absolute sense.
yeah, and he knows a lot about the mint julep, which is has been a Southern drink in the
He knows
U.S.
He knows everything about every drink, and it's amazing because the Calvados is very regionalized.
Yeah.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
The mint julep is very regionalized, but
Yeah.
Bond knows them all.
And of course, in From Russia with Love, he has some Turkish Rocky at the gypsy camp. And
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool. And beer? Come on. Bond's going to drink beer? Well, he has Red Stripe beer. You think, okay, he's going to have Red Stripe beer in Dr. No, because it's in Jamaica, and that's a Jamaican beer, which we've had many of. And and no, it's in The Man with the Golden Gun.
We need to do more of that Jamaican beer because since we started doing these podcasts and this website, we haven't been back to Jamaica yet. So
I know, we got to get back there. Now, when travel is back again, it would be nice to get to Jamaica again. Anyway, Lowenbrow. He drinks Lowenbrow in Goldfinger, actually. He sat by the window and drank Enzian. I don't know what that is. Washed down with a pale Lowenbrow. And then, wait. Bond drinks Miller High Life? An American beer out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin?
Yeah, really.
What? Yeah, in 007 in New York.
Again, he's in New York.
Yeah, in 007, the short story, in the Octopussy and Living Daylights collection, Bond says something like, Miller High Life is one of the best parts of the best meal in New York. Whoa! Okay, all right. There you go, a Miller High Life. We've had enough of the drinks of Bond in the novels, and Tom and I have consumed several of the drinks during the podcast. I still have a little bit of my Americano left.
Vespers, but that's fine.
My Americano, I still have about half left. Wait, one more sip. Ooh, that is good. Great summer drink. And I think that's going to conclude our coverage of drinking with Bond, literally, on the podcast.
All right, so that kind of wraps up where we're going with what Bond has drunk in the books. And we've had a few cocktails here we've done this. We encourage you to do the same. If you're into Bond and want to try what maybe there's one of these we've talked about that you've never heard of before, go ahead and experiment. When Dan and I go across the world and go to these different places, we try the local stuff. We also see, is there a drink that Bond drank here? And we go ahead and include it. We strongly encourage you to do that.
Yeah, and if we've missed something that you think is really a good one, let us know, because Tom and I will be very willing to try it and report on it. Okay. On our website, we have the big red button on the right side of the screen. Send us a message, and we may include it in a future podcast.
It lets us get some direction of what you guys are looking for.
All right. This has been Dan Silvestri.
And Tom Pizzato.
And we've been drinking with Bond as we're cracking the code of spy movies. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you listening.
If I have too many of these, Dan, I can't crack the code.
Let us know what you think, and please subscribe to our show and tell your friends about it, too.